This conference will now be recorded.
All right, where would everybody like to start?
Well, if I can just start by saying, the last few days since our last meeting, I've had a chance to think more about what's going on with the audit. I don't think there's a problem with the auditor because we would have gotten feedback from the state if the audit was incorrect. I think the concern of the public is prudent, though, that we should ask for different staff. I think in the best interest of the town that we stick with the original auditor at 24/5, but request different staff.
So at this point, they can't provide other staff because Ernie left and Kurt is the primary. So he has one new staff member that's, as far as I understand, like his new liaison in training.
Okay.
So I guess there is one new extra person coming on, but that's
Inexperienced.
but
Yeah.
not their primary. Ernie was their like head guy.
Yeah.
And Kurt will be now the head guy and the new. He wasn't sure how many staff members he would have by the time he got here.
Okay.
So usually they send two. Sometimes
Well, then I'll
my
leave
first
that up
year
to the
was.
board.
Well, I can go ahead and speak on my opinion of it. I spoke to a couple of people that have not businesses here, but just people I would care about what they say. And they both said they would go back with the cheaper company. That's just.
And then do we
Well,
look
it-
at
their
maybe,
advice.
do we
Not
look,
because of that, but I gave them the whole spiel of who we'd used, why we'd used them, price difference, what could potentially be, just the scenarios of it. And that was the
Well, my
recommendations that I
my
got.
major issue was that they've been doing it for 10 years. But I
Well.
did say in the meeting too, or thereabout, I did say in the meeting too that just because they've been doing it for many, many years, I did the same audit for 10 years when I was working for SRG. So it's basically how much attention to detail they are paying to the final report. The final report goes to the state. State's not had a problem with the final report. They're not seeing an issue. We're seeing an issue because we have not made corrections to the findings that they have found. And now the state has stepped in. So it's out of our hands at this point. It's not for us to address those. We've got the state in here addressing those, and we're doing some mitigation. But the audit itself is it's not a financial audit, it's a procedural audit. So they're looking at procedures, they're looking at, did 2 signatures get on the check that went out of here? I mean, that's a procedural audit.
Did not. Actually, so, well, just because you said that, I wanted to make you all aware that there was a check that went out and was cashed without my signature on it, and it was a
It happens.
$60,000 check. So then I went to the bank and said, how did this go through? None of our checks are stamped with requires 2 signatures. So we have ordered a stamp that says requires 2 signatures and re-signed our signature, all of our signature cards. That's why Corey had to come back in.
One-offs
thing
like
too.
that are acceptable in an audit. I mean, if you only write 10 checks in a year and 5 of them are not signed properly, you got a problem. If you send out, like my company, we send out thousands of checks every month. If they weren't signed, half of them, you got a problem. If I missed one out of 24,000 checks, that's just an oversight. It happens. We're humans. That's acceptable. It would pass. It would pass audit. Just saying. That's one of the things they look at is a pattern. And if you don't have a pattern, it's not an audit problem. If it's a one-off, it's overlooked. If it's a one-off every single year on the same check, now that's a problem. But if it's just like a variant arbitration, it's not arbitrary accident. But no, my main issue is I thought about this. I've dreamt about it, and I just feel like in the best interest of the town, that we continue with the less expensive option And possibly request
Do we want to,
the report come before this board.
It always does.
Yeah. And possibly have the auditor available for questions from us.
and they were available last time. I just
Okay.
send you when they're here. They like to do any after they're finished on their last day, they're closing. So they were available last year as well.
Okay.
Well, are they available after the report is written?
Okay,
Because
you
the
want
last day
to,
they're here, I won't know what to ask them until
okay.
Until we see the
until you
report.
read the
Yeah.
report.
Okay, so I'm sure with the next year, or at least online, I know they travel quite a bit, so it'd probably be easier to do online if you're okay with a virtual appearance,
I just don't want to double our cost. I
Okay.
I just feel like
I guess.
an audit is an audit. It's as long as the state's not complaining that we're using an inferior auditor. I see no problem with us going forward with the same auditor at a more reasonable cost to the town.
For next year, do you want to put out a request for proposal for an auditor and see if putting it like we did for the growth policy,
Mhm.
and then it might span the net bigger, and then we can see what we get back?
I don't
No, we
think
have
it
time
hurts
to do
get
that.
And
a
then-
couple of
Yeah,
and
we don't
then-
have time to do that
people
now,
at
but
all.
for
But
next
do
year
you,
we
s-
do.
but do you see what I'm saying?
First one to comment because it hasn't been online since 5 o'clock. It just recently got online, like right when I walked in the door.
Yeah, it started with.
It started with me.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. I was late. I'm sorry.
And it was started before she spoke.
Yeah.
Oh,
We just
so
didn't
it
have our
wasn't-
mics on. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't-
You only missed a.
I don't think it
Okay.
hurts to have a couple of bids for sure from anybody,
I would prefer to have at least 3
you know,
Okay.
I mean.
if you can find them in Montana. Now that's
Yeah.
another problem.
I have
True.
the list of
Approved.
approved auditors.
Okay.
So
I mean, if
There's-
we're using an
it's
auditor
not,
on an
uh,
approved list,
it's
But
not this long, it's
They're
like this
approved
long.
and they're not graded, right? Either you're approved or you're not approved,
Right.
right? There's no grading, so if you're approved, it means that you're qualified to perform an audit in the state of Montana. So,
Right.
I
I
mean,
agree.
Then is it like a Google review? There's like 5 stars. Do you look?
No, you see, well, like, franchises, for example, they will identify auditors in the geographic area of their franchisees, and they'll tell them these people are approved, and these people we highly trust. These people are just it's a report card. They get 5 stars, they get 2 stars, but you still can use them. It just matters that they're on the list. So as long as our auditor is approved by the state and they haven't been reprimanded for anything related to the state, I don't see why we don't accept it there.
I mean, if they're not debarred, then
Yeah.
they are fine to use.
I mean,
Okay.
and I
And
can go
I-
on the Montana State CPA Society and find out if they've had any complaints, but I highly doubt it. They wouldn't be on that list if they did.
And I posed the question to Trevor on Monday when I was in, like if there was a statute about cycle or if the DOA had any best practice to follow or any best practice guidelines that they could give us for the future.
Okay,
So not just
that's great.
some training sometime, not like an actual document that supports the decisions. I feel like it's like a scientific research paper. Here's your documented research findings.
That was the main reason we were here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything in addition to just an audit, like recommendations or anything that you would get from the higher priced audit? Has anyone looked at?
I just looked at the detail. Well, the first, what's her name?
Olson.
Olson.
Olness.
Something like-
Olness.
Olness.
Olness. Olness didn't provide really a quote. They provided an engagement letter. The other one actually provided a quote stating what they would and would not, what was and what was not included
Did
in.
they not provide a quote because they've done ours for 10 years?
Mm-hmm.
We're like, we're just gonna come. through and
You
see
know
the
what's
bill.
included,
Yeah.
yes. The other one did include what this cost covers and what it does not cover. And the first thing I noticed was the financial state preparation was not covered,
Well,
which automatically will increase that.
and the GASBs. So
And the
that,
GASBs, yes.
yes. And because they keep adding them, they have to go through CE hours every year to keep track and up to date with them. And I don't know how many CE hours they have to have, but we've always had them do those because there are so many. Ginger filed 37. Was the Gatsby 37?
75.
75. You know, I'm just making up numbers. That's not good tonight. 75 with help from Jody. So we tackled that one for the first time, but
Yeah.
0 through 99 or 1 through 99 is a lot of them to
Have to do.
try and do.
Time-consuming.
Nikki, they're up to over 100.
Yeah.
Well,
Anybody have any thoughts
what
or
was their hourly
questions
rate?
about it?
Do you know?
You? You okay?
Hourly
with it,
rate
Cory? It was so quiet compared to what you usually are.
Hourly rate for which?
For Ennis. They don't provide.
So since that's not a quote, does that mean theirs could come back even higher, oldness? Because last year they quoted 13 and it came back higher as well.
Yeah, even with the quote that we got from the other company, it could be
Oh.
higher. It's like with any quote. I mean, they do their best guess. and
Right,
then
but
when
theirs
they
wasn't even a
open
quote.
the can and
Theirs
they
was
find
just-
all the worms, things change. So, yeah, it's both.
In that 24, the Gatsby was included in that, as well as the,
I assume they
year-end
included it
financials.
as part of their work since they did it in prior years.
yes,
Yeah,
yes. So those items are included in the
in that
oldness.
24/5.
Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't give them. I wouldn't.
Is there a limit for them if they, let's say, come in there at 24 and that's the deal, and then they wind up saying, okay, we've got another 3 or 6 or 10. Is there a cap on that, or do we have to approve that additional? Is there anything like that?
I would like to get work order changes if
Okay.
they find an issue that comes before the board before they do the work, if that's possible.
They're here for 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
So if they find something midway,
It would be tough.
it would be interesting.
They do a lot of theirs now. I mean, they
Ahead of
they
time,
do a
so-
lot ahead of time. So I would think that after the fact, they may not have to be present, but
Mhm. But they do a lot before and after they're
Mhm.
actually here.
yeah,
So if we
Needed
could
work
request
order.
if they're seeing a major issue that's going to increase time, more than a few $100s worth, that they let us know.
Yeah, I mean,
Is
it's
that
just fair
reasonable?
because honestly, if Corey came over and did my sheetrock job and it was double the price or it was up, he would probably tell me why, it was this, but I wouldn't be held responsible to pay it unless
You agreed to it.
I agreed to it ahead of time or he put a lien on my property,
Yeah.
so really one of the two. So we wouldn't want to get into a situation like that. So I was just curious.
It's already $500 over budget, what they send us.
It's gonna go over
I-
$5,000.
It went over 5,000 last year.
Yeah.
And every $100 counts in our budget. So this can't be the first time they get asked this.
Okay. So I'll include that in the correspondence with Kurt.
We just need to keep I don't see a problem.
I don't know if anybody's seen the numbers for I guess the last 4 years that it's been, but I think 4 years ago, was it not like $9,500 or $8,500, and then it's
it's
substantially
gradually, and a lot of that is due to the Gatsby stuff
What's the difference in these two?
going up.
One is your expenditures and one's your revenues for your packets.
Okay.
The big one's the expenditure, the 26 pager. Okay, so Mitch said her piece on it. Does
Yeah.
anybody want to continue working to find the other section? Or to find money for that? Or do we want to do Olness this year and then at least fish out for next year?
Yeah,
It's not a little change in the budget. It's a significant difference, and it would be nice to know going into a budget cycle that we're expecting a 30,000 difference. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm getting a more accurate contract that includes the financial report, like basically just with our growth policy where we lined out our scope of everything we need, not just part of it. So we know closer to our end true number, like Mitch said, like 47, what does it take for Gatsby's 1 through whatever? And the financial report, is that 65? Is that 75? Is that,
Well, that's a
what
good
is
number
that?
to know, because if we can mitigate that by doing some training, it saves us money
Mhm.
and time on the audit. So it's a double positive to know, what does it cost for you to do all these GASBs? And we send somebody to training that can do the GASBs. That's all it is. And we just do the cost benefit analysis. Okay, we're going to spend 5,000 to send somebody for training, but we're going to save 10,000 on the audit. It's worth it.
do they charge like that? I mean,
Yes.
Mhm.
is it, they're going
It's
to give us
itemized.
a bill saying they spent 40 hours on this times $200 an hour is
Yep.
this.
No, they charge by the hour. Yep. And they document what they work on. They also document what tests they do and all that stuff. So it should be an easy thing.
Because I don't think we've seen that type of breakdown before.
You can ask for it. Yeah, they're just gonna say, well, you came in $500 or $5,000 over budget, so pay it.
Yeah.
And then you can ask for an itemized bill.
Okay, all right, maybe that's what.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of just being able to talk to them.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I've done it once before with one other former council member. It was just, I don't know, a Q&A session. That it all goes back to me being able to talk to my accountant. The year I didn't have the meeting with my accountant, I was just like, what? Am I not important? You know, it's like, no, I want to just.
And then when you get the bill, you go, what did I do?
Mine gets a lot of calls. I'm like, why am I paying this? Well, you know, what? Yeah.
And I appreciated the expertise of Ernie while he was here. Stuff that didn't end up in the report, like the recommendation to like renegotiate our interests. He's like, it's not an official thing, but if it was me as mayor, I would definitely be sending that letter to the bank to say, hey, short-term investment pool right now is at 5%. We have 800,000 with you at 0.5%.
Jeez. Yeah.
And they were great about
Difference.
reworking it, but I never would have thought to renegotiate that without the auditor's suggestion while he was on site.
That's good. So we're halfway through this budget already.
Yes.
Ginger, do you accrue, like, I know I'm really bad about it in my accounting firm, billing. I just billed for December a week ago, so I'm really slow. So do you ever like know that, like for legal, he should have billed us for this and this and this, and you didn't get the bill yet? Do you ever go, well, this is gonna be due, I might as well just accrue it?
No, because
So some of these numbers could be off a little bit just based on their billing cycle.
yes, and for those that I ran for January, I mean, January's bills have not been paid yet.
Okay,
So,
but they're entered as payables or no?
not until I receive them.
Oh, you don't have the bill yet, okay.
Yeah,
Right,
Don't
for
have-
everything in January. So this is the clearest to date for a 6-month period, because this is everything from December, including the last claims that we approved at the last meeting and then the journal vouchers as well.
Is there an overall that adds all these departments together for us? These budgets?
It's another report. Do you want Ginger to?
Yeah. there's
If
a
you could, it'd be easier to,
Big summary.
yeah, a summary of all the
It's usually-
funds.
I know when we were doing the budget, it was like on the last page.
Can you do an overall summary of all the funds for the budget or no?
I can.
Okay, I think that would be helpful. It'd help me to identify if numbers are way out of whack.
So you just want it by fund? Or,
Well, these are by fund. I need like an overall general, general fund.
that you can just look right down the list and see all the fund numbers and
Fund.
names, and then a total at the bottom?
Yeah, committed year to date and approved appropriation.
Sure. You want that now?
Yes, if you don't mind. Be easier to see.
I just had to look at you in that tone of voice so I could remember what my thought was.
What is the consultant services one?
Which one? Where?
The 15,000 that's appropriated for planning and research, is that for the growth
Which
plan?
which one are you in?
Second page of the expenses. It's account 411000.
Planning and research services.
I was just wondering if that was identified for
Well,
a specific project.
Yeah, and look at insurance. I mean, insurance across the board. When do we pay our insurance? What month?
It was March. Or do we pick it?
Because all the insurances will remain at 100% until the annual premium is due.
Research. But that's still in general.
There's
Do I
several
have that?
insurances.
Go right to the front, right? If you look at insurance in every budget,
Mhm.
you'll see that 100%. So if you go to commit, 100% still available for all the insurance.
No, wait, no, 100% is used at this point.
100% is
Yeah,
used on the
so
first
it's-
page.
That's all paid out, right?
Right.
Yeah,
When's it paid?
yeah, you're right. They're all 100% paid.
When do we pay them?
I thought it was
March.
That
No,
could be-
You can't pay them much if they're,
no,
if
it
they're
was,
all
100% because then we'd still have money in the budget.
Right.
True,
Are they
or else we're in trouble.
That's right.
Yeah.
committed in like July or August or?
Do you pay annually or biannually or?
I'm trying to figure out which insurance this is. You know, see what I'm saying? Is
Yeah.
this,
Whether it's liability or.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
I mean, you
If
got
this was our split
payroll
between-
insurance back here.
yeah, which is different.
Which is
There's,
different.
And there's
That's your
facilities
medical
insurance.
It almost looks like it's liability.
I think it's the liability
It
and it's
must
that
be.
giant one in September.
You think September?
I think it's September. When you do property evaluation, you do it earlier in the year. And that one comes in. I know it's summertime when we start evaluating buildings and adding. Back to planning service. Research consultants. That's not floodplain. I was thinking that was floodplain, but I think floodplain is separate. Or maybe that's what that was.
Yeah. I figured it was one of those big projects.
Excuse me, Ginger,
Yes.
do you know what insurance is paid,
The
the
liability.
liabilities? When it's due, like September or July or what's
The liability insurance.
Yeah, because our insurance is 100% paid out.
the number 510?
They bill, oh gosh, I have to look at it for sure.
I don't remember if it's December or January.
Do you know what 510 is? Is 510 liability or do you know?
It is probably, several different ones, property, liability,
Because obviously all the 510s are paid for the year.
yes.
They're all sitting in
So
zero.
right now, they're starting our property insurance. So I think they are paid right at
The beginning of the
the
fiscal.
beginning of the fiscal year, which is July.
So they're paid in July.
Oh, it was September. But Ginger,
Yes.
411,000 consultant services 15,000. Is that
That
part
is
of
the
the
Great
flood?
West, that's Great West on-call.
Oh, that's right.
Services.
Okay.
So that's there in case something comes up throughout the year.
And that's system-wide.
Everything but water and sewer, because we have special task orders designated there in professional services if we need them. Like we actually needed an additional task order for engineering for mainline extension down at the park in October. So that came out of water. Water's designation.
So does 510 include the health insurance too?
I know it's separate. It's on.
Yeah, I saw that one today.
It's got its own. It's on
Enormous.
near the back of the packet.
So 510 is the object code, but it's in a health insurance fund.
All insurance. We'll break that one out.
Do you happen to have a list for all the object codes as well?
I do. I don't know if I can print that off, Jim.
Do you have it electronic by any chance?
I'm gonna have to look.
All right, thank you.
So we're about 6 months into this project right now.
Mhm. It's up to date to the 6 month point after we signed the last round of claims, those extra 3, I think, last week.
Yeah, so I'm
And they're all
just,
entered.
we're a few days away from being actually 7 months into it, right?
When we sign claims at our February
Right.
meeting, then we'll be it.
Right. But this is current as of today.
Correct.
So the end of the fiscal year is June 30th.
Correct. Jim, I don't see where I can pull those up. It's something, I will check with Black Mountain tomorrow
Okay,
and see if there's a way to print off what we have in our system.
thank you. I appreciate that. It's pretty simple to cross-reference anyway, so I wouldn't worry about it. Out of curiosity, what process was used to build the budget? Is this a foundational budget or?
Versus,
Versus taking this year's budget for next year and just using an increased percentage number?
we didn't do that in water and sewer because we anticipated, well, every time we run into anything, it turns into something bigger. And then like the ARPA draw this year, those had to be assigned and used. So those will be more than last year's because this was our final year for that. So in that, it says like 4% of that's total use. And I think they have to be designated and started on their use this year by December. So that's the task orders that we signed with Great West for the start of the engineering for the Wells site.
So water and sewer is
Master
your
site.
foundation budget?
Yeah, well, it's an enterprise, so it covers its own costs.
Yeah, yeah.
typically, yeah.
And the
So
rest of it
that
was
one
based on
shouldn't-
last year's. And
shouldn't
then,
have-
Sort of like the ambulance receipts.
But so typically, most things are just like a COLA increase, like a inflation.
Do you know what percentage used?
3.5, I think. No, that was just for wages. I think I did 5% on everything else.
I was gonna say 3.5 would be very conservative.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
3% was the cost. Yeah, was
Mhm.
the wage increase. And then
We did a 8% wage increase last year or the previous.
Overall, last fiscal year,
2 years ago?
2 years ago.
I was gonna say, we just voted on a 3%.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah,
the year,
no, it's been a couple years.
2 years. And that was partnered with a reduction in our insurance. So we took the difference and then kind of netted it towards cost of living increase and we were trying to get everybody caught back up to like at least a living wage around here.
I don't think you can catch up.
I don't think you, I don't think you, well, and I don't know that $14 is accurate.
Doing 3 jobs too.
No, I mean, just go back a few years ago, the COLA was 9%, right?
Mhm.
So if you had a 9% COLA, obviously your wages didn't increase by 9%.
Mhm.
Typically 2.5% is a standard.
Mhm.
So you think that it was 3.5% that was basically over and above what the 2024 was? Or
And then certain
Yeah, I
line
think you
items
used
added in.
5% on the budget.
I used 5%
5%?
on the budget and then certain line items were added, like specifically, and
The
most of
3.5,
it
I
was
think she was referring to.
trying to do capital
employee,
improvement.
Salaries, is that what you were talking about on the 3.5, but the 5 was the overall budget?
Mhm. And then trying to identify capital improvement ones that didn't exist before now, like, I think it was the budget actually before this that we started adding 10,000 for equipment in public works as a general so that we could replace like the snowplow and not. The previous one was a 72. Now we have a 2006. The grader was a 68 galleon, stuff like that. And then we've been trying to do more with the libraries building as well. We did, because that building was built in 2000 and It's 24 and I kind of anticipated a roof in the next 5. And this building needs a capital improvement set aside for it, but it wasn't budgeted for. It's something I'd like to see in this building.
You know what number you use for anticipated revenue?
The revenues were calculated, just went with the same ones as last year.
So you didn't.
I didn't do an increase.
Oh,
Increase on
No,
with the exception of like the interest that we're getting from the bank,
that was
I increased that.
that one.
Because that went
January
from
1st,
a half
that
a
one dropped
percent
like
to
a rock.
5%. That's based on, and we get that, Jim, quarterly. They do an adjustment on the interest quarterly for that account.
Those are numbers you can identify. It's easy enough. Although interest rates for savings accounts dropped from 2.6 to 0.4
Mhm.
in November. Sorry to inform you, your investments are worth less. Well, I'm looking at the budget and we're not even halfway through. We're only a third of the way through the budget, halfway through the year.
And I think some of the bigger ones will
So that
happen in the spring.
identifies a budget process deficiency.
Yeah, I think the budget we approved had some things that were bigger than,
Well, I understand anticipation and it not coming to fruition. That's divine intervention, but, yeah, this budget process, I would really like to be more hands-on. I mean,
Mitch, you're
I wasn't
talking,
here last year, but. I
you're
definitely-
talking on the expenditure side?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I know on the revenue side, we're 60% there, which means that we're actually gonna come out ahead on the revenue side too, right?
Yes.
So,
Ones that I anticipate actually being pretty close by the end of the year. The growth policy I thought was going to be moved faster. So that one I really thought we were going to be at starting our contract and everything by now. I was expecting that to be at 50 and then maybe us starting into reworking the zoning
well, we
code.
might have a better handle on it this coming budget season though.
LGR, health insurance, that, permissives, about where I expected. Streets, we won't do anything until the spring.
I thought LGR was allocated 13.
No, it was 11.
11? Okay.
It was 11.
So your streets, your parks.
Tree fund will go through its first thing in the spring, I expect.
Get on that.
Yeah.
Health insurance is always a. you
The
can count on
ARPA
that going
should
up
be
every year.
finalized in the
70%.
spring.
Yeah.
Or maybe not all of it, because that's by December of next year. So maybe I should have split that into half. You see what I'm saying?
Things
Yeah.
budgeted, or not budgeted, how often?
They
do
had
you
to be
check the
allocated
insurance?
by December of last year.
Oh,
So I allocate, that's how I anticipated that.
yeah.
Nikki, do you mind me asking, how often do you shop the prices on the insurances, whether it's health insurance or property insurance or whatever? How often is that done?
I think the health
Annually.
insurance is mandated
Annually?
by the state, MMIA.
Yes.
MMIA would be.
It's probably gonna be the cheapest because they're
They-
dealing through the state.
For the health insurance, and some towns have gone away from MMIA and started using state fund for their workers' comp.
I was just curious, just wondering.
I don't think I would with a public works department.
I agree,
I don't think I would.
but that's,
Residential for your business.
so that's the memo that they sent that that was right before our regularly scheduled meeting was opt in or opt out. So that was, and you have until March 1st. So that was going to be on it's on my February agenda for that discussion of whether you guys want us to opt in or opt out. And then after that, they'll give us, once they know who's in and who is out, then they'll be able to give us our rates. So
Would it be
after
possible
March
to get
1st,
copies of those. I don't even need the policy. I just need to know what the rates were over the last year, last fiscal year versus this fiscal year to see what the percentage increases are.
All insurances?
All insurances, just a quick spreadsheet,
Mhm.
and I don't need it tonight. I think
Okay.
it's something we can talk about later, but it's worth it to shop, especially liability insurance.
and then looking what we get out of our liability, which I love the fact that they'll come in at any point for training, which
Mhm.
helps too. I think we underutilize what they can do. We had them into Public Works a couple times, but
Do you have anyone in your workers' comp area come in and do a ergonomic study?
that's the next one that was
would
recommended
help
out
too.
of our Department of Labor.
And basically, if you get the study, they give you a percent off or something because you did it. I just know the renewal for the health insurance for the company that I work for is our open enrollment is November 1st. So starting in October, I get quotes. And on average, it goes up 10% every year.
I believe ours last year was 9%,
It goes up 10% every year.
if I'm remembering correctly.
I just know we got hit with a huge one this year, and it was like, whoa.
And the new one
And I'm
for
the
this
oldest one in the
coming year, Mitch, should be coming out. The new ones should start coming out. I believe it's in March. We might get.
So
a
March, if you
preview.
want to do your renewal letter that states what they're going to do compared to the policy that we got last year.
They're gonna give us an estimate. I believe that'll come in March. And
Usually
then
they list what they did last year and what they're
have,
doing this year.
yeah, they usually have final rates in April.
Okay,
And those, I think,
And then
are
you
on
have
your
to-
commission calendar
okay, good.
because they had them in their MMIA league calendar. So I added them to the commission calendar. So we all knew when those.
MMIA went up to 9%.
That's a health insurance last year.
It did go up 9% though.
If I'm remembering correctly, that's what I'll be pulling for you.
I just thought the state would
That-
have worked a better deal than that. So, have some more
Everything's
clout
up.
there.
Yeah, everything's up.
I know,
It's
everything's
terrible right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I know my house insurance. I've got 2 houses. I got a house out in Virginia City too.
Oh, that one wanted to cost me a lot because of
It's
where
almost
the
doubled from the time I
location.
bought it.
The first quote I got was $18,000 for homeowners insurance. Because it is so far away from, is that not crazy?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, anyway, because it's so far away from this fire department or the one in DC. So the first thing I said was, heck, I'll buy a tanker and we'll start our own little one out there in the area, and I'd be up for that in a
Yeah.
heartbeat. So talk to me sometime, yeah.
Yeah.
But I did get a better price anyway
Well,
than that.
my house here in town, I bought it in 2022, and my insurance has gone up on average $200 a year. So it's up $600 from the time I bought that
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
And
I think a lot of
we haven't
people,
added to the house.
a lot of the neighbors around that area that I went and met, whenever I bought that, I met my couple of neighbors and I asked them about their prices. And a lot of people say they're just renewing, they're not like a new purchase, so you know how that is. And then you get hit with all of it, but they blame it all on that's a high risk area out there. And they blame it, of course, on all the wildfires and stuff prior to this that was
Right.
going on recently. But yeah, and they do not like to cover lot homes and things like that. So,
California, if you put a sprinkler system on your roof, you would get a deduction.
we looked at putting in a
It's probably
sprinkler
not
system.
anymore since they don't have any water.
Yes. We looked at putting in one of those sprinkler systems that shoots out the stuff that's in the, like your fire
Fire
extinguishers and
extinguisher,
stuff. My husband was even looking at that because it was so expensive It'd been cheaper to put up a building and buy a piece of land and start a,
Just pump a cistern full of
yeah, it
water
would have been so
and
much
keep
easier.
it sitting
It'd
right
have been
there.
cheaper in the long run to do our own volunteer fire department,
Mhm.
than to, yeah.
So quick
They have
question.
insurance too, and it's expensive because you pay by the hour for training.
Yeah.
What monitoring tools do we have to monitor anything that may be going out of budget?
These
Just
budget
this
forms with
reports.
with
Do you have something in the software tool that identifies?
It alerts you.
Not an alert. Like in your packet last time, those budget reports. So that's pretty much what we used, Jim.
They should, if you see the ones in the packet, usually have, it denotes asterisks that it's over your allotted.
Yes. So
report doesn't have it.
What I'm referring to is, let's say it's payments due quarterly, right? So you budgeted $4,000, and each quarter, the first 2 quarters come out at $1,500. So now there's an alert that would identify that that is going to exceed its budget if each quarter is going to be at $1,500.
Okay,
It will
no.
exceed by $2,000.
I don't know if they have that
No.
capability.
It's something I can ask Black Mountain,
Yeah.
but
So there's an alert.
I have never seen that.
Okay.
But I will question it.
Well, it does exist in accounting software,
Mhm.
and it just flags it, that
Okay.
at this pace, this is going to exceed the budget and it will give you an estimated cost of what it's going to exceed by.
And sometimes it's nice and fancy and it turns the line red, not just an asterisk. It makes it either bold or it turns it red.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, typically. we turn it red.
I have a question on the revenue side, personal property taxes and mobile homes.
Yes.
I mean, it was we did 0. In the net and gross proceeds, we did not budget for any of that income. Is that something that we don't know the number, around about?
Typically, and that is something that I got years ago from the auditors is, when I'm working on that, it all goes into the real property taxes
Mhm.
because we don't have a way of gauging the others
Yeah,
through the year. So you see
I
it,
mean, wouldn't you just do the same as last year as a conservative move, at least?
I will certainly ask on that, Mitch.
Mobile homes reduce in their property tax value every year.
Very quickly, I'm sure.
I live in one. Mine's the only one that
Well,
goes
still,
down.
you-
Everybody
you
else
even
says
look at it as
theirs
some- I mean,
goes up,
It's
and
only
I'm like,
$200, but, I mean, it's $200 this year. How long have the mobile homes been on this? And you just reduce it by $100 every year until it's gone.
It's not from a retail level that they lose value. It's just
No,
that
once they get to a certain age, you cannot move
they
them off of the
depreciate.
property
Yeah.
anyway,
They just
so
depreciate
they're
it.
really,
Yeah.
mhm.
And what is this net and gross proceeds? Is that sale of equipment or?
And that is something new that came in. I mean, and I've even, I talked to someone that was an ex-auditor on that.
Mhm.
And he didn't understand why we were getting that amount. So,
Well, I'm just trying to
He was-
figure out what
yeah.
it is. What is, where is
and,
it?
well, and that's just it. He wasn't positive either,
taxes
so
and
he is looking
assessments.
into that.
Oh, okay.
I have not got an answer yet.
but it is
Net and
taken
gross
off. It's put in
proceeds.
there and then taken off, right?
In the library?
No, if
No,
you're
it's
looking
still-
at the negative numbers in revenue to be received,
Okay.
that indicates that we have gone over
Oh,
that amount
okay.
in collections.
All right, gotcha.
So I mean, that's $34,000 that was not
Right.
our budget.
Right.
That we received,
That we
and we don't know
received.
why we received it.
Wish that happened to me.
Me too.
I'd still
It's
question
your
it 'cause you gotta pay
birthday.
taxes. Nothing's free in this world.
Yeah.
I mean, And it's on the
I'd have to total
general,
it,
and it's on the,
since it's split amongst all
Library.
of them, I'd have to do it against planning board as well.
yeah,
There's planning board.
it's 4,000 on the library.
It's
and
only,
the general, and that's the only one I saw.
Yeah,
Those
we've
two.
only spent 1% of the planning boards.
we're looking at
That's in the
revenues.
PERS.
Right,
That
but
would
are
be
you
in
saying
PERS.
that's where that number's coming from?
No, I'm saying that we've collected more than the projected by.
Yeah.
That amount.
Well, I'm trying
So
to
I
figure
need
out how we
to-
can balance the budget. If we're missing revenue, that's part of the problem. If we're overestimating expenses, that's part of the problem. I have less problem with overestimating expenses than underestimating revenue.
I
Because
understand that, but I guess
Mobile
how is
homes
this
again, so
done?
it's
Do
in
we
those-
sit down like you do if you're at your home and you say, okay, this is how much money I've got to spend and this is how much we're gonna allot for this, 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 and this?
In your,
And then we
okay.
just carry it over year after year. If there's a problem, we're still carrying it over? Or is it resolved each year? And
It's
then we look at a
resolved each
new
year.
budget each year?
new budget each year.
I mean, that's what it should be. That's what I was wondering. Okay.
It's in permissive mills as well.
It's in PERS. Why would it be in PERS? Isn't that retirement?
Permissive mill levies there too. There's the mobile home and the net and gross. So I'll look
And
for
in the
those.
software, it's gonna be dependent on, how it's set up. When you set up, your mills in there, say, general fund had 100 mills and there was 10 mills in something else. I put those number of mills in the software for each budgeted fund that's going to get tax money. And then it shoots it out as a percentage to all funds that get tax dollars. So the software does that automatically.
But you can adjust it where it does it by, right?
There's some of them are down.
I mean, there's no reasons to have a net and gross proceeds in PERS. PERS is
Right.
retirement.
And I guess first, Mitch, I want the answer from
Trevor?
Trevor,
From-
what it is.
who,
where it's
what,
coming from.
why, and where.
Yeah.
Where is, it's in general, never mind. That one I invest low on, I'm betting, by the end of the year, too. Let's see, that one's at 86.
Do you know which portion is fixed of the budget percentage wise, so as compared to discretionary? Or
I do not.
I'm sorry, would you say that
I'm still
again?
on Mitch's, like, where did I miss the
fixed
Live
compared to
card.
discretionary?
game table
That's a permanent, right?
permit?
But you guys don't have game tables, do you?
But that one's huge in its difference, like, not a little bit, like a lot. So I need to look at what changed there. I hadn't,
Oh,
see
I
what
can
I'm
tell you.
saying? What?
Silver Dollar has a table every Friday night now.
Oh. I don't go out. So
Every
that's
Friday night
what,
now.
so
The only
that's,
reason I know is because my husband's a GM at this sports ones and he's trying to keep up.
so that's why that one changed. Cannabis is
Yeah,
gonna
she
be,
remodeled
you can-
her whole bar to accommodate that table. It was a big one.
Hmm.
Like 10 people.
so that's
Yeah.
why.
I actually knew that.
Yeah.
It didn't work in there.
Okay, I didn't know that, and I definitely wouldn't have guessed that big of a jump off of it. But now I know. That one's gonna be closer to watch for next year.
Video gaming machine permits,
Which one? Video gaming?
right under the live card game.
We're close there, right?
Estimated
Estimated.
at 4,000, received
No.
250.
No, I mean,
Yeah,
Oh,
no, it's
no,
low.
that one's. Does that feel like it comes in at a different time?
What video game? Does the laundromat have video games?
good thing the live card game is offsetting.
I'm offsetting it, yes.
Okay, I'll look at those two.
I'm just wondering who
On a
has a
trend.
video game.
I'll make sure I didn't make a mistake and put it in a wrong.
It's only 250 bucks. But that's in the video game, but I'm just wondering who has video games in town that they're paying a permit fee for.
Would it be
Would it be like the dartboards in the bars? Is that a video game?
pool table?
That-
No.
Poker machines,
Poker machines?
those are considered
They
video
are.
gaming.
Yes,
Mhm.
yeah.
They are gaming.
So that would be
Does the state pay this to you?
Yes,
correct.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
and it comes quarterly.
Okay.
And gaming means that it's going to actually be a gambling type of machine, so as opposed to a ping pong machine or
Yes.
pinball machine.
Well, now you'll start getting pieces of bingo because all the bars are having bingo now. And that's a gaming permit.
Yeah, there's two of them going on. I think Thursdays, it's one here and then over there, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Y'all need to be bingo players.
I do play bingo, that's all I know.
I would enjoy it actually too.
Court
And are
revenues.
the rents and the leases, are they level funded every year or?
They remain the same unless we change them through.
And is that the apartment upstairs or?
And we lease the ambulance bay.
Oh, okay.
Correct. Those are our only leases.
And are the expenses built into the lease? So heat,
Lease covers the expenses.
electrical?
Yeah.
Mhm. But our biggest is the propane.
Is it for this bay?
Yeah.
To keep it, is it heated?
Yes, because we have to, and there's for the electronics
Yeah.
that are in there, and then we have temperature alarms for when they leave the door open.
Oh, that's okay. My refrigerator does that.
So, yes. And then there's usually a email sent very shortly thereafter.
Is there a way to track? I'm assuming you only have one propane supply here. So the other way to track it would be square footage covered.
Sorry about
Thousand
that.
gallon tank.
Turn it
Awesome.
off.
That's something to keep in mind when we get ready to renew that lease.
Though
And
at
we
least
can
the
allocate.
ambulance one,
The lease can call for utility allocations at certain points, like quarterly.
the ambulance lease is now at any point it can be evaluated. I'd have to pull the other one. It's up on its one. We did 1 year and then it's monthly after that. It was the original. To change the lease agreement, you have to go through public hearing
I'm sure.
by the charter. To lease property must be done by two public hearings.
Just to keep us on track of what we're trying to accomplish here, right? Because we're sort of all over the map. Not focused on any one particular thing. We're just afraid we're not gonna get to our goal if
Well, we started out with oldness and then we went to going through the budget and looking for a few extra things that were off. But the big discussion here was what, back to oldness, to figure out what we're gonna do, if
Yeah,
we're gonna
there's
use
only one
them.
thing on the agenda is to figure out money to pay for the.
The for illness, or the other one.
So if
not
you,
Denny's.
if you guys wanna go with almost, that means that we're $5,000 under budgeted for that, right?
Only,
500.
500.
500, okay.
500.
All right.
And then hopefully we'll find out from them if there's gonna be anything that they pick up on or see that's going to extend it before we get, too far in along and have a big bill or something.
Yeah.
I feel confident in some of these budget allocations, given that we're halfway through and we've got several items where we've only met 7% or 3%
Yeah.
of the annual budget. We have room to move.
There's a little wiggle.
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
there.
And then we're over mostly in travel and
Membership.
membership
Yeah.
registrations. And like, there's 2 coming up, so I was just gonna pay for them out of pocket since we didn't have it budgeted. Executive session is the end of the February, and then they have a new one that they're doing the first week in March, MSU is doing. But it's $250 for that one in Helena as well, in rooms, and I don't even know what rooms will be like in March. Your department is in that, and we are correct over in land use and inspection, in membership registration, travel, and other purchase services. So I was gonna break that down and figure out where I didn't allocate enough there.
What's it for?
Well, she's saying she's over budget on those, but it's only $300 on the other purchase services. And then the other one, membership, it's $215. Travel is over 300. I mean, it's not, it's something to mark for next year.
Well, and like in I don't know if it's there or somewhere else, like to budget for bringing training in.
Mhm.
I'm short there.
So health insurance, we're at 70% right now. And how are we confident that we're not going to exceed that?
What is this month's?
Well, if you're 7 months in, as you said a while ago, and you've got 12 months in the year, 70%, 70%,
We're only
7 months, so we still would be
We're only
a
at
little
50.
shy.
We're only
Really
at
halfway
50%.
through.
Yeah.
This is only 50%.
Okay, so yeah, then.
Which item
yeah.
are you at? Which where?
2371 health insurance.
Page 11,
Oh, Jim,
employees contract.
Is that-
go to the next page. There's also permissive mills.
Correct.
2372 is a health insurance also. That is the permissive mills that we can levy for health insurance.
So.
And
all-
it is low. So
all
we'll
likely-
probably be doing a journal voucher
Okay.
to level that out, but I think we are covered for the year.
It looks like it, yeah.
But my question is, we're going to exceed it, right?
This-
Chances are very good,
Line item, yeah.
and that you're going to actually need to draw money over from another account.
From those permissive mills.
I would say, is it that high because we pay quarterly and 1 quarter, or 3/4 payments in?
It's typically taken each payroll.
Correct.
Yeah, but typically it's a fixed amount, right?
Yeah.
It's
Per
predetermined.
payroll. Yeah.
Right.
Per person per
Yeah.
payroll.
It's predetermined. But going back to the original conversation, so the reason why we're here is because we want to know if we need to find money to go with the more expensive option of audit or to go with the current auditor that we're using, right? And if we're going with the current auditor, then we just need an additional $500.
Well, I
Yep.
think it's gonna be more.
I think it's gonna be
Um,
about 5,000.
But,
But I think we have wiggle room in some other areas of the budget.
but maybe
I-
we should just try to identify the
Yeah.
$5,000,
Yeah, I just
right?
added up what we have, unless I looked at something incorrectly, that I have 25,300.
Because it's from multiple accounts.
Oh, that's what's budgeted total.
Total
Okay.
for
Yeah, I'm gonna have to put a
what we were
spreadsheet to help
figuring
me
for
see
the
this.
audit.
And what was their quote back to us?
2450.
24.5.
So
24.5.
we should be set, but it's gonna go over, so.
It may, but it may not be 5,000 because remember last year they had to do all the bank reconciliations because there was an issue that couldn't be figured out before they started. This year we've got someone coming in, we've already gonna pay them the $4,000 to do the bank reconciliations. So that 4,000 might compensate for the 5.
Mike,
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's
Either way, we
time.
gotta have them. I mean, we've gotta have them and then figure it out.
All I know
Well,
is-
that 4,000 includes
Yeah.
training so the
Yeah,
teacher
yeah.
can,
all I know is my
Learn how to
CPA
identify
is
the
more
issues.
expensive every year.
it will.
And that was Corey's point. So
It will,
yeah,
because you're paying
125%
people and they get wages and they get
In
raises.
4 years, right? Yeah,
It's quite a
that's
bit.
the point. The point is that we're guesstimating that it's $5,000, right? But that's a guesstimate.
That we're not sure.
Yeah, that's why I
It's
brought
not
it a while ago,
scientific by
where's
any
the
stretch of the
limit on?
imagination.
But it's a nice cushion and
We'll
it's
find
based on last year.
Yeah.
Of the same amount last year.
So my other question would be, what are there for other unanticipated type of increases of what we have for obligations coming up
For the rest of this year.
year?
Is there anything scary on the horizon?
I mean, who knows, the water system can break like.
Well,
Like now?
So that's an.
You're talking about a
that's an
standard
unknown,
thing
right?
that you normally
Well,
pay
the
a certain
only-
amount, but it might be
No,
iffy on
he's-
something. Is that what you're
No,
asking?
he's asking if we
Uninterested.
have a budget item
Uh-huh.
that it looks like we are not going to end up paying the full amount for.
Oh, he's looking for
Or-
money, where to pay this from.
We have a
Okay.
budget item that looks like, based on what we know right now, may go over.
Okay. I understood the over. I just wasn't sure you were looking for the money to where to get. I
Yeah.
got you.
No.
Okay.
Right now, Jim, I'm not anticipating anything. And I don't see anything abnormal.
Do you know any other large item obligations that we have coming up between now and the end of June?
I don't think so. I think it's just the standard, what's in the budget and nothing
The only
that I
one that
can think of.
the only one that I can think of, since we didn't receive it, is if we had Great West redo an application for CDBG. Because I think there's another cycle in May.
But we have like 15,000 sitting in there for Great
Exactly.
West
So
for
I
consulting
think it's okay.
services. So
But Nikki, would that be?
That would be water and sewer.
Again, water and sewer,
That would be water and sewer again.
because that's what the project is.
that's what
Yeah.
that's what
So,
the consulting.
Yeah, that,
It's earmarked for water and sewer.
it will,
No,
no.
not the
no, it's
15,000.
earmarked- It's earmarked for something else that,
On
come up.
call if we run into a quick land use one that we run into that's not a in-forest wheelhouse. Like I'm just an initial in my digging on annexation, and it might be I may need to talk to them to help with some annexation update, that kind of thing. I'm seeing a whole lot of annexation warning bells going off in my mind, so I just sent off a whole bunch of listserv had Ginger send off listserv. So I've started compiling resolutions, this, that, and the other, but it might be we might need to look at that.
Something that is going to be coming in that, I mean, it's not going to be a huge bill, but it's going to be bigger than normal, is with American Legal for codifying our new floodplain ordinance. I have not gotten that back from them yet,
What are you
but
thinking of?
that's a
Is
big, that's a big
Is it
document.
50,000 more?
No,
or is it
no,
five-
no. No. I mean, I'll have to check with them to be sure, but I believe it was over 100 pages.
It was big.
It's,
Okay,
it's
I'm
a.
It used to
looking
say
So if you're not
C1
gonna
page.
have any more, if you think the expenditures are pretty accurate, are you expecting more revenue somewhere? Because you're already, without doing any changes to this budget, you're already $900,000 in the negative.
Well, you can
So
look
if
at-
you're not
you
expecting
can look
any
at water
more,
and sewer, and they're not gonna hit their $800,000 budget for expenses.
right, but
That's the
there,
major portion of
but
it.
aren't there some things that can't be pulled from water and sewer? They
We're
have to
not-
be used for water and sewer?
We're not pulling from water and sewer. All I'm saying is it was over budgeted for their expenses, which means they put in that they had
$900,000.
$800,000 in expenses and they currently have 200. Halfway through the year
At the sewer.
at the sewer. And we can't take that money, but
Right.
it is over budgeted, which does not mean anything other than he overestimated how much money he needed for the year.
By 400,000?
Yes, which is why we're
So you're still
talking a major
500,000.
budget issue. There's other things in here too. I was looking at.
That's my point. So the statement that this is fairly accurate is not an accurate statement.
No, the expenses year to date are
The
accurate.
expenses are.
The budget was overestimated. So what I'm saying is, when the budget was done, someone looked at their information and said, oh, wow, I'm anticipating that building roof then is going to collapse under the next snow. We need to replace that roof. Well, it turns out nothing happened to the roof. We didn't have to replace the roof. There's $50,000 in that budget for the roof, but we didn't pay for the roof. No cash was spent. So it was over budgeted, but not expensed. An expense is an actual
Right.
payment that's already been made.
wasn't
So
Allocated.
a budget is a best guess. The actuals, yes, ideally your budget should be closer to your actuals. It just means that when this budget was put together, someone had incorrect facts or read them wrong and over budgeted for some items. And all that means is it won't be spent. It just means the budget's wrong.
But personally speaking, I would like to see them closer in
Yes.
balance. I'm sure we would all agree with that. And I would really love to sort of like Mitch said a while ago, be more of a participant in going through and looking at it and seeing where is our money going, you know, what are we spending it on? Is there anywhere we can cut? Because it is hard to come in here as a new person and know what everybody else has been doing and what's going on, you know,
Right.
without really getting into it and getting your hands dirty. But I think you're definitely justified to ask for it to be closer balanced or to see where this money is coming from. Because when you do have a over expenditure of say $900,000 or whatever, what, you know, so
It makes you wonder what was going through their mind
yeah.
that didn't happen. It needs to be justified. All the numbers need to be justified. And that was part of my issue today at work is pulling numbers out of the air and telling me that's the number is not okay. I need
Yeah.
something that says, why?
I'm
Why
a
that
person
number?
too, yeah.
Yeah.
I get you.
A foundational budget.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay,
I've been
so
saying that.
do we need
No one's listening.
any other changes for Olness? Do we want to
Oh.
find the 5,000, an additional 5,000? Do we want to wait until it's
I'm
done?
looking, can I ask a question about buildings? In the general administrative, page 1, line 920, account 920. Okay, we have budgeted there 11,000. We've actually spent 1,700. What in the building is gonna need $10,000 worth of expense from now to June 30th.
Yep, it's the end of, well, part of it, which I say one more time.
First page,
Okay.
920.
account 920 under administration.
Yeah, why did we budget?
We split that, that's the rest of, that's the electrician for the public works, so we split it between water, sewer, and here. General. So that still needs an electrician, insulated, and
All right, so we're waiting on work that has
It
yet
has
to
to
be
be
done.
done.
yes,
Yeah, that's what I was asking. Okay.
that was that one.
And for
Legals-
Eric's,
What's the other one?
Yeah,
For Eric,
legal
Drywall.
you have to finish
Huh.
it. That,
Yeah.
the floor, all the frilly stuff, we have the shell. That's, I guess, what I need to say.
Legal services, are we gonna hit the 24?
Yeah, I'm curious about that too.
Legal, which,
Right
Yeah.
underneath it.
410360.
That's for city court.
that was a guesstimate, as we had a totally different model from the
Mhm.
previous year.
Okay.
So there was no number to go off of.
Can you explain legal
It-
services for, is it,
So it's basically
So that's the,
little over
that's,
$1,000 a month.
So, yeah, those legal services were for our city court, for our prosecuting attorney.
Yeah.
On that first page. On the second page, you see the legal services. It's 41100,
Yep.
41100.
Yep.
So that is our civil attorney, or the town attorney
so this is Guza and the other one's
I was
Bogey.
gonna say, this one's Guza on
Yeah.
page 2.
on page 2.
Well, out of those two, do we anticipate that we're actually going to hit those estimated numbers?
No, well,
I
Because
mean, the
we're
second
6
one,
months in, right? And
the
we're
prosecutor, I think, would be not.
27 out of 24.
that's what I said, it's a little over $1,000 a month on the first page.
Right.
So we would have 6 more thousand, so we got 12 grand there. And over here, if you do this, well, this was almost 2 grand,
Same
a
difference.
little less. When, it's a little,
Only
but
at 29%, the other one's at 27%.
it's the same
I think there's a
difference.
little wiggle. at
I think
least
there's something
$5,000
there.
worth of wiggle.
Unless you guys see something,
Yeah.
that's what I'm asking.
I don't-
You're in the day to day.
I don't in
I
prosecutor.
don't see either one of them unless something major should happen.
Yeah.
Guza, I don't know, like last month's where we went up 2,000, like, it's like a roller coaster. It feels like with Guza's, like I never
Billing, yeah.
billing. And then while what he's working on right now, I really don't have a guesstimate. Are we gonna hit like another $2,000 month? Are we not?
Well, I think we have enough in the city court on the first page
Exactly.
to worry about that 5 grand
I
if
think
it
there's
happens.
5 grand to wiggle between the two of those.
Yeah.
That we can find when we need it.
Even if it's only 2,000 on one and the rest on the other. I
Is
mean,
there a
that's-
period of the fiscal year that impacts the legal services more than another?
No.
And that's sort of the point I think that we're making here, right? That if we have that much, only 27% has been spent to date, and we have another 6 months to go, then we probably can anticipate that at least maybe 45% to 40% of
Those
that revenue is still
Yeah.
there,
Mhm.
Well, exactly.
or unspent rather.
Even if they track on budget for the next 6 months, that's still 79% of that. We still have 20% left.
Right.
Wait,
And we don't need that much. We only
Yeah.
need
In excess of-
1%
It's in
of
excess of 5,000.
this one and 1% of the other one.
So is that what you would like to do? Is for extra cush?
Yes.
Well, do
well,
we want to not do it unless we need it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
We shouldn't,
Yeah.
we
It's
shouldn't.
there.
wait
We've
until we get the
identified-
bill from the.
Okay.
Well, until they come to us with a change order, which I asked for.
I
So
have
if
that.
they see something that's gonna take them over the budget amount, then we need to know about it so we can come back here. and do
I think
this.
the simple thing to do is that we're looking at line item or account number 410,360, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Item 352, that we're looking to be able to actually have that available for the 5,000 of unanticipated or anticipated, but not actually
Budgeted for.
actually
Yeah.
budgeted. right?
Documented.
Yeah.
Documented. And then as a backup to that would be the same thing.
For Ed's.
Item number 352 under 41-1100,
Mhm.
legal services.
And really, and truly, you only need 1% of each of those if you wanted to split it.
Yeah, which is actually the more practical way to do it.
Okay.
To actually have it so that you're doing it equal to each of the two.
Okay.
Because it impacts it less.
It doesn't impact anyone to the full extent.
I think that, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But don't do that unless,
Unless we get a change, yeah,
We'll move
No work
on
order
until we
change.
gotta spend the money.
Correct.
right?
Okay.
I don't want to spend any money.
Well,
Yeah, we want to find one.
Unless someone wants to buy me a new fridge door.
and then this just came out today, so that I haven't had a chance to look into the federal grant pause.
Oh.
Or if that changes anything for ours, if that's related to any of our ARPA funds. So that's, again, just came across. So I don't anticipate, but I don't know I have no background to see if this changes anything.
Nikki, I do have a message into Craig Erickson on that.
Thank you.
30 to 60 day delay potential.
Mhm. That's what I know.
You anticipate when you'll have an answer on
I don't think anybody knows at this point.
that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I know.
So right now, we're running at a profit year to date. We received 1.4 million and we spent 1.1.
I'd be curious, Ginger, if you just wouldn't mind looking into it on 330000 for governmental revenues on the video gaming.
Yeah.
If we could figure out maybe why that's only 250 so far for the year.
Yes.
I know it's
I have
not,
that one
I know
marked
it's
too.
not a huge number, but just to confirm that there's not error there.
And also, I'll wait for you to finish writing, Ginger, because I'm
That's okay.
on account 343010. Charges for services, the street and roadway charges, this is on the revenue report, is a negative 49,000, which means we gave away 49,000.
We're,
You mean,
wait a
Is
minute,
that an
343.
expense is that an expense that's erroneously recorded on revenue?
49.
You talking about 4,900?
4950.
4,950.
Okay.
You said-
That is probably going to be, oh my gosh, when they open up a street, they pay a bond.
Oh, our street bond.
But would the bond be on the
So-
revenue report?
It is money coming in.
It's showing. a
But
But
bond.
it's showing
set
negative.
aside
I'll
It's
check
showing
into that.
negative.
I'll
Yeah,
check into that.
thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
because
It's
on the
showing
bond, it
negative.
should be set
Yeah.
aside
Sure.
and then it's
Yeah.
just in a
I mean,
holding
it's not really
fund.
revenue, it's,
Right, it's
No.
a bond. It should be.
It's a bond.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay.
Oh,
No, I was just concerned
see
because
what
it's a
happened
negative on the revenue, which
Yeah,
is
I'll go
not
in
what you
I
want.
should have asked that too. I didn't understand.
Yeah, I think in the case of mobile homes, we're disregarding those entirely. We're
Yes.
looking through the other,
in revenues for
Revenue.
city court were down significantly. And I don't anticipate that magically picking up a whole bunch before.
People are behaving.
We had one less officer writing tickets, so now we have a second
Oh,
one. So I
gotcha.
based it off of 2.
18,000.
Yeah. So that was a swing and a miss.
Mm.
And maybe it'll come back up, but then usually there's more prosecution associated with it. So
and
back and forth.
It's probably just a wash. You just have to pay for the.
Pretty much. That's what I was thinking.
You have to pay somebody to judge them.
yeah, You're saying it's not an income potential for us?
Not
It's
much
not
more. It's
supposed-
allocated for 28, we've got 7.
I'm just asking.
Yeah.
Okay. So no other changes for now.
And I will pay my doggy license fee.
Well, I was actually seeing that, and I was gonna say something about that. I have a dog and nobody has said anything about that.
I got
Who is
an
checking
email
this and
reminder.
licensing this or whatever? You are? Okay.
I got
I got a
my,
letter.
I got my
Alright,
email.
I didn't know that, but I
reminder.
do have a little one, so yes. So
And I got a
need to get
new
my
one.
money for that, and everybody else should too. What about the short-term rentals? Where are they at on here, or are they? What-
That's in
maybe
business
That
coming
comes,
in
license.
from
that comes
that.
from the state.
That comes differently? Oh, okay.
Comes through the
Alright.
state, right?
What?
The fees that are paid by VRBOs or Airbnb.
Yeah, that's it's the bed.
The bed tax.
Bed
That
tax,
doesn't,
yeah.
that doesn't
And
come
that-
to us.
It doesn't trickle down to us?
No,
No.
it does not. The bed tax, I just testified on that this week.
Why
Let's
doesn't
be
it trickle?
honest.
It's our money.
It's really not.
It's our community.
It's not. It goes to fund, Destination Montana. It goes to fund ITRR. It goes to
Virginia
fund
City, the
all-
Heritage
They're saying they're paying
Foundation.
marketing fees.
Marketing, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and
Yeah.
that was a question that was
That's
set
what-
up for debate
that's what
last
John was
week,
making a point
was
about.
that they
Yeah.
were wanting to
Like
get
the
rid of that and reduce
Vehicle in
everyone's
Central
property
Park in New
taxes.
York, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it would cost more money because we wouldn't be having
You watch my
tourism and
testimony?
people come in. But
course
there
I
does
do.
need to be something. So these registrations of a business license that you have to have, everybody that's got one should have a business license.
I agree with
Today
that.
I had the sanitarian in training, Zoe over at my place. And, it's $40 per room. I've got 2 rooms, so that's $80 and everything. And that goes, of course, but I'm in the city, so there should be some way that I get the city money. And I'm not wanting to just give money, but it should be fair.
Yes.
And that's something that needs to be looked into.
Well,
We
it
need to make
does
sure that we do
Affect our
that.
infrastructure, as we all know.
Mhm.
We're taxed for water
Yes.
delivery, we're taxed for our sewers.
Mhm.
They're at capacity with just the residents we
Yes.
have. So,
And we're using, the only grants that really are available were the MSEP, so that's old coal endowment money. So my question has always been, we had these huge industries years and years ago of mining and logging, and they set aside money for infrastructure programs later in life, and why we now have replaced those industries with tourism, and it is not responsible at all for putting money aside for.
Well, the
And
MCAP
so
also
we-
is drawing money from coal extraction in eastern Montana. They're taxing that at this point, that's funding those funds. It's not money that's been sitting in the coffers for 100 years. It's, every one of those rail cars you see heading to Seattle full of coal is coming from somewhere in eastern Montana, and there's a pretty big tax on all that. And that's what's funding those funds, which will hopefully fund our water system.
That's right.
so in a roundabout way, we're still,
But the
Potentially
tourism
get some
still
money.
puts a lot of
I-
weight
I
on
get- I
those.
get the point, right? So, but to John's point, a lot of that coal revenue is current revenue.
It's current.
It's happening now. It's not something that is from a fund that was put together 50 years ago. It's
Correct.
happening in real time.
Correct, and that's why they always look at it every biennium, what that fund brought in the last 2 years, and then compare it to the project list and figure out what projects can be funded and what can't, depending on how much revenue they brought in and how much projects and all that.
Yeah, the people of the state should be very thankful that such a account
Yeah.
exists.
You see every one of those rail cars full of coal heading west.
I see.
Are we wrapped or what?
All
You
right,
can see how.
All right,
are
so
we there?
I got an email today, guys, from a reporter at Montana Public Radio, and she says, she's doing a story on small town infrastructure overhauls in rural Montana and heard my testimony at the recent legislative hearing on the challenges Ennis water system is facing. Would you be open to speaking to me on this story? Are you guys fine with me talking to her?
yes, I am.
I'll respond to her.
Nikki, you're.
She can make a whole like tour of it and then go over to Harrison and check out their sewer problem. I think Twin
And Three
Bridges was
Forks.
on our
But
list
they
and
just got a
Sheridan.
grant, didn't they?
Sheridan was also on the list.
Yeah.
And there was quite a few of us that were on the list that didn't make it in Madison County this session. So she can make a whole
Yeah,
tour.
a whole case for being discriminated against.
Whole tour of old systems need help.
Yes.
Yeah, I just got that today, so I'll respond to her tonight.
All right, are we good?
I'll take it.
Did you do your homework?
Oh, yeah, I already have my certificate and everything.
No, I mean for the class.
Yeah.
The
I
government
have my
minutes book?
certificate, I'm done.
Oh, you finished the
Unit
whole thing?
one. No, just unit
She's
one.
in there with me.
Oh, I was gonna say,
actually
you
saw,
get a
yeah, I saw
little-
your name on there.
A certificate after each section.
Oh, I don't know.
Madam
I
Clerk.
finished mine today.
Tonight,
I didn't-
things due by midnight tonight, or 11:59 tonight, the first test and all, and then we did that every week for 6 weeks.
He said
6
But I
weeks.
saw your name on there. Are you in there too?
Yes.
I did,
I'm in there for you.
I did touch
Yeah, I
on
finished my
lady
test
classes
around
in the
lunchtime.
military. Horrible.
And I found out
I need to
that if
be
you
in
can have a
like
good PDF system,
one-on-one.
there's a row.
I
You can
think
get it to read
was
the text to you.
advanced
and you can use
cellular.
Oh, yeah.
I could have used that
It
this
is
afternoon.
hard to follow because when it gets to the end of the page, it reads
It was
the
the
page
first
number,
time I've
and
done
next
like
it
a
reads the
quiz on
heading, and then it goes on with the text.
And something about the format. Something about what
Yes,
it was, but I'm like, favorite is class. Like,
Yeah, yes,
you know, please.
Yes, if you
So I go
will.
to the professor and I'm like,
I don't think I got anything much in here. I thought I might have a pen or something, just to be sure. Nope. So I'll just leave the whole thing with you. But yeah, 'cause I was wondering about that.
essay format number.
Because I mean, I'm not a computer tech person, but I mean,
I do know what I'm talking about.
I cannot do certain things.
Yeah. And I remember John was saying, you know, when you see the little dots in the top, go there and if you drive.
As a
I
class,
wasn't
take your,
there.
your little assigned ID remote.
There really wasn't any sense
Okay.
to
It was
it.
like, just like,
It's fun, you know,
Yeah, I don't know whether people say. I'm just.
screaming.
Thank you so much.
Her anxiety.
Yeah, there was no,
Well,
even if you were here.
To my assigned ABC, I mean, I still have it. I swear, I was gonna frame this thing. This small white picture gave me more life anxiety than anything else. A, B, C, D, I don't know. I don't know. I don't, true or false? Is that A or D? I don't know. What it's stress. So I don't do
Yeah.
online at all.
Yeah. The one you said, I don't understand how that the marijuana, you can't have an election. You forwarded it to me. I don't understand that, so I don't wanna, I don't even wanna reply because I don't even understand the problem. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah, I'm up there the 30th. Right. It's one of my bills. So I'm gonna- You should see my bill. For, wow, my mom. What I decided to do on my bill tracker is delete, you know, when the LC comes out, the title, you're like, oh my God, I need this bill. But once the bill draft comes out, you read the bill, and if it is not a high priority to stuff that I'm interested in, I'm just deleting it. Because if I don't, I spend all this time going back and going back. And the bill tracker, oh my God, this bill is in hearing today. I'm like, what's that bill? Then you go read it again. So I'm yeah. 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 You know, this is what we put together. I do, but I might not have looked. I'm sorry. No, yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, just remember, I mean, it's easier to write a bill than it is to get it ourselves. To get it passed, it's gotta go through 3 votes to get out of the House, 3 votes to get out of the Senate, and then the governor's got to sign on. Things can get killed pretty easy. So I don't, if you want every Monday we do it at the governor's office, 7 to 9 at night, on Monday night, for tourism and outfitting and recreation. I have a video call with that, 7 to 9. Every Monday morning, if you wanna, you can ship us because I don't see it, the league one, and then we could like, all right, everything that's in here this week, we don't have. Forget it, or 2 years ago. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. That's what we're doing every Monday night. And only things that have hearings this week, because if we start looking at stuff too far down the road, it becomes overwhelming. It might not even make it there. So let's just, you know, you can take that bill, at least my bill tracker, you can filter it for what has hearings in the next 10 days. And then only look at those, because those are really the only things that are on the Friday. Everything else is too far out. And if you start worrying about the stuff too far out, it becomes like 1,000 pounds. Yeah. Yeah, just focus on the ones that have a hearing this week. Yeah. Yeah. Just delete it, yeah. Give, really, the only stuff we need to talk about is the high priority stuff. The low priority stuff. Okay. And if you need help with that, I'm pretty good with that bill tracker thing. Yeah. But I don't have it on this computer, because this computer isn't a real computer. I have it on my Mac. So.
Mitch, I appreciate you.
You know,
You've done more than you know.
Monday, it'll be precious.
Yeah.
It's
I
really
will.
exciting to come out Friday. So if we do it Thursday, we're gonna have to redo it Monday.
Okay. Yep.
See you Thursday.
Yes, ma'am.
15 minutes total.
Total.
Yeah.
Say, I move, I accept, and we. Bye, guys.
And if you ever want to go to the Capitol, I mean, I'm going all.
As soon as she's out the door, I can shut this down.